right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, she was a nurse at Cardinal Glennon for nearly 20 years. Now police say they've caught her killer. Hear from her daughter only on 5 on Your Side.
Pure relief.
The murder suspect, not even old enough to drive. Plus tonight, big payout. The dozens of St. Louisans getting millions of dollars from the city following protests in their neighborhoods.
Another weather alert as strong storms are rolling out of mid-Missouri right now.
We begin tonight with that weather alert. You're taking a live look now over Chesterfield. Skies are clear, but some storms are possible. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Allred. Some parts of our viewing area are already under a severe thunderstorm watch. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with a look at the weather first forecast.
You know, that's Gasconade County, far to the west of St. Louis. There's a chance that watch could get extended a little farther east, but the overall severe weather threat is really focused where it is right now and into Gasconade County and into Montgomery County, out to the west of St. Louis along Interstate 70. And we may see a bit of a weakening trend here as time rolls along. Here's the cluster of thunderstorms right now. And yes, there is some rotation in there. There's actually a tornado warning in effect right around the Fulton area, and that's going to stretch right up to the Montgomery County line as that system is moving on to the east. But you see, it's a good distance away from St. Louis. It's also storming in Jefferson City with some gusty winds too. We do think this is going to end up mainly taking a bit of a turn more towards the southeast and tend to go across parts of Gasconade, southwestern Franklin counties. It'll try to turn to the right and probably weaken a little bit, but then there's still a few more storms that develop overnight to the north of St. Louis. So we'll go with a weather alert at this point. We think there'll be an overall weakening trend to some degree here since we've lost the heat of the day. That severe thunderstorm watch, Montgomery County, Gasconade County stretching back to the west. Again, we expect to get an update from the Storm Prediction Center in just a little bit on that, but we're thinking it's mainly scattered thunderstorms and mostly a wind threat. Even if there's a tornado, it's one of those spin-up quick hitters. It doesn't last very long. Why tomorrow looks like it's going to end up being a much quieter day in a few minutes, Ann.
That's good news. Remember, you can get the weather first forecast anytime on your phone. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355. New tonight, a teenager is now charged with killing a longtime nurse and dumping her body in East St. Louis nearly a year ago. Our Robert Townsend has reaction from the victim's daughter in a story you'll only see on 5 on Your Side.
It's been nearly a year since Harriet Childers was found dead here on this street in East St. Louis. A 15-year-old is now charged in the case, and that's some comfort for Childers' daughter.
To be honest, it's hell of a relief. He left my mom in the street like a piece of trash.
On the morning of August 27, 2022, police found 49-year-old Harriet Childers shot to death in the 1800 block of Gady Avenue.
She was my best friend. She was understanding. She was helpful. She was loving.
Childers was also a beloved wife, grandmom, and a full-time nurse at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital in South St. Louis for nearly 20 years.
She loves those babies. She loves every child that she sat her in encounter with. You'll see how big her smile was and how easily it can light up a room.
Childers was driving part-time for Uber when she was killed.
I found out earlier today
that police arrested a 15-year-old East St. Louis boy. Prosecutors charged the teen with murder and hijacking a vehicle.
I don't wish him well. I don't wish him the best. And whoever encouraged this, they should be disappointed. I feel like justice for my mom will be her seeing her family heal from this eventually.
At this point, investigators have not given us any additional information. Meantime, the young suspect is being held in the St. Clair Juvenile Detention Center. Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Following today's charges, an Uber spokesperson released a statement saying, quote, "We are grateful to law enforcement for their unwavering efforts to seek justice for Harriet over the past year. We continue to keep her loved ones in our hearts and hope this development helps provide a sense of closure." With youth crime on the rise, one nonprofit organization is launching a new campaign to help keep kids off the street. It's called the Streetlight Campaign. Members of the 7th Grade Poetry Foundation put up billboards and signs like these throughout the city to help spread the word about child safety. It comes from the old St. Louis saying that when the streetlights come on, children know when to come home.
You have a choice. And we're giving every community that we've talked to that choice by presenting the signage. It's basically you have a choice of you being the one who sets the rules in your household for the young people you're responsible for.
Currently, the ads are on more than 140 Metro buses in St. Louis City and County. Let's get to some breaking news right now out of North St. Louis. That's where accident reconstruction teams are investigating an accident at the intersection of West Florissant and Davison. Police say a motorcyclist is unresponsive at this time. We'll update you when we learn more information. Tonight, police are working to identify a woman killed in a crash last night in St. Louis County. It happened on Lindbergh near Robbins Grove Drive in Florissant. This is an unusual crash. Police say one car hit a street sign, then a piece of that sign went through another car, a woman's car, into her windshield, and it killed her. The other driver stayed at the scene and is working with investigators. Tonight, the families of 4 teenage boys are relieved after a nighttime hike turned into a rescue. Last night, the boys went on a hike on the Katy Trail in St. Louis County and they got stuck on a cliff. A search started around 7 in the Weldon Spring area after calling for help. Fire crews rescued them around 11 last night, but did not reveal their exact ages. New tonight, 7 dozen people who accused St. Louis police of violating their rights following downtown protests in 2017 are now picking up their settlement checks. The city agreed to pay the plaintiffs nearly $5 million. The protests followed the acquittal of former police officer Jason Stockley. 5 Interside's Brent Solomon is here to explain. Brent.
Well, and people who were around at that time won't soon forget the protests, chaos, and violence that occurred after the officer who fatally shot Anthony Lamar Smith was cleared of murder charges. When protests broke out, activists say police violated their civil rights.
You're looking at the 2017 protest in downtown St. Louis following the acquittal of former police officer Jason Stockley.
They're surrounding us entirely.
I was told that everybody was under arrest and to get on the sidewalk.
Including yourself? Mm-hmm. Had you ever been arrested before?
No.
Nicole Warrington says she was there to document how police were interacting with activists. Her charge was later dropped. The memories of what she says happened that night are crystal clear.
The sound of the batons, there were officers lining wall to wall, and the batons were just beating, and the officers were all saying in unison, move back, and I think I will always remember the sound of all of those batons hitting the ground. They were pushing us all into the center of the intersection.
Once we saw the videos, we knew that what the police did was wrong.
That's why Javad Khazali sued the city on their behalf.
At first we filed 12 different lawsuits for 14 people. And then slowly we started realizing that there were close to 100 people. So we turned this into a class action.
In the settlement agreement, the city denied any wrongdoing, saying the settlement should not be construed as an admission or concession of any legal violations or any failure to comply with the law. Friday, we were there as some of the 84 people who filed suit came to pick up their checks.
I hope that moving forward that folks are allowed to use their voices as we're supposed to be able to do here as citizens. There needs to be some basic protection of our rights and basic recognition of each other's humanity.
Now, each plaintiff in this case is receiving an average of $43,000 after attorney fees. At the time, the city told us it would not comment on pending litigation. Now that the case is settled, a spokesperson told me today the city's stance cited in that settlement agreement still stands. Ann.
Today, former President Trump pleaded not guilty to new charges against him in the classified documents case. This is the second time in the past 24 hours that Trump has entered a not guilty plea in 2 different cases. He entered the plea through a court filing and did not appear in court. According to the filing, he also waived his right to be present for the arraignment on the new superseding indictment next week. Developing tonight, residents in Highland, Illinois are under a boil order until further notice after a water main break on Illinois Route 143. Residents are asked to boil water for 5 minutes before drinking or cooking. The city says officials are testing water samples, and the order could be lifted as early as tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, the health department is warning people about a possible measles exposure in St. Charles and St. Louis counties. We will list the places. Health officials say it's a confirmed case of internationally imported measles. People could have been exposed at 3 locations: Fitness Edge in Creve Coeur, Total Access Urgent Care in St. Charles, and the ER at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Peters. The dates and the times of the exposure risk vary from location, but they're in the week of July 21st to July 25th. Some symptoms to look out for include a high fever, cough, runny nose, and a rash that appears 7 to 21 days after exposure. If you are showing symptoms, you need to contact your health provider and avoid going to a healthcare facility without calling them and telling them about your symptoms first. Taking a walk through the halls after a deadly tragedy.
I have hope that after today, the congressmen and congresswomen will go back to Congress and take action.
Hear one mother's emotional reaction as she joins other victims' families of the Parkland school shooting. The sun is heating up the summer and your skin. Our Consumer Reports provides tips on how to treat sunburns.
And our weather alert has phased into a storm alert now. The severe thunderstorm watch is extended into St. Louis until 1 a.m. and a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for northwestern portions of Gasconade County. That storm right now is moving to the east southeast and does have some winds with it as it continues to press on. Our thinking is at this point that it's mainly a wind threat, but we can't rule out an isolated tornado spinning up. It won't get to Herman until along about 10:46, but we're tracking tonight from the Weather First team.